There is a clay that outlives civilizations. Domes built with it have survived nearly 2,000 years of earthquakes, storms, sea spray, and time itself. Bridges made with it still stand where modern concrete would already be cracked and replaced. Harbors cast into the Mediterranean during the Roman Empire remain solid today, even though the waves that strike them carry salt strong enough to destroy modern materials within years. Modern concrete, the material that holds up the majority of the world's cities, often begins to crumble in 40 or 50 years. Steel reinforcement rusts, water creeps into microscopic cracks, whole structures must be repaired, patched, or demolished before the century mark. Yet a dome poured in Rome in the year 125 AD still stands intact. No steel reinforcement, no chemical sealants, no modern engineering software. The structure is the Pantheon, and its massive concrete dome, stretching 43 meters across, remains the largest unreinforced concrete dome ever built. The material that holds it together is not modern cement. It is ancient Roman concrete, a clay-like mixture of lime, volcanic ash, rock fragments, and water, a substance so durable that some scientists now call it one of the most resilient building materials in human history. For centuries, this durability seemed almost mythical. Walls poured by Roman builders still stand, while modern highways and buildings require constant repair. Harbors cast into the sea during the Roman Republic remain intact despite 2 millennia of waves and saltwater. Concrete blocks lying on Mediterranean beaches today are still nearly whole, even though they were poured before the birth of Christ. Geologist Marie Jackson, who has studied Roman marine concrete for years, once summarized the mystery in simple terms. Roman harbor structures have survived in one of the most aggressive environments on Earth, with virtually no maintenance at all. The material did not simply endure. In many cases, it grew stronger over time. And the story of how that happened begins in a volcanic landscape along the Bay of Naples. Nearly 2,000 years ago, Roman engineers discovered that a strange gray ash collected from volcanic soil behaved differently when mixed with lime and water. The ash came from a region known today as Pozzuoli, where ancient eruptions from nearby volcanic fields scattered fine mineral dust across the land. The Romans called this ash pozzolana. Mixed with lime and crushed stone, pozzolana produced a paste that hardened into rock. But unlike earlier mortars used in ancient civilizations, this material could set even underwater. That single discovery transformed Roman engineering. Concrete could now be poured into wooden molds along coastlines and harbors. Massive blocks could harden beneath seawater. Bridges could stand in rivers. Breakwaters could be built directly into the ocean. Roman engineers suddenly had a material that behaved less like mortar and more like artificial stone. The Roman architect Vitruvius, writing around 25 BC in his famous work 10 Books on Architecture, described the recipe clearly. 1 part lime mixed with 3 parts volcanic ash for ordinary structures, or 2 parts ash for concrete that needed to harden underwater. The results reshaped the ancient world. Harbors were carved into coastlines across the Mediterranean. Aqueducts stretched for hundreds of miles to bring fresh water into Roman cities. Vaulted ceilings and enormous domes rose above temples and bathhouses. The material had a name: opus caementitium, Roman concrete. By the 1st century BC, this clay-like mixture had triggered what historians now call the Roman concrete revolution. Structures that once required massive stone blocks could now be formed with molds and poured materials, allowing architects to design shapes never before possible. The Theater of Marcellus, the Markets of Trajan, and the enormous dome of the Pantheon all emerged during this architectural transformation. But the Romans did not simply pour concrete, they engineered it. Roman builders understood that the mixture could be customized depending on where it would be used. In the Pantheon dome, the aggregate near the base used heavy stones like travertine to support weight, while the upper layers incorporated lighter volcanic rocks such as pumice and tuff, gradually reducing the load as the dome rose higher. The density of the material changed from nearly 2,200 kilograms per cubic meter at the base to roughly 1,350 kilograms near the top. That gradient reduced stress on the structure while preserving strength. Even more remarkable was the behavior of Roman marine concrete. When seawater seeped into tiny cracks within harbor walls, chemical reactions occurred between the volcanic ash and the minerals in the water. These reactions created rare crystals such as aluminous tobermorite, minerals that formed inside the concrete matrix and reinforced it from within. Instead of weakening the structure, the ocean helped strengthen it. Modern engineers were stunned when they discovered this. Modern Portland cement concrete deteriorates rapidly when exposed to saltwater. Steel reinforcement corrodes, cracks widen. Within decades, marine structures require major repairs. Roman concrete exposed to the same conditions has survived for 2 millennia. The secret lies in the chemistry of volcanic ash. Pozzolana contains high levels of silica and alumina. When these elements react with lime and water, they produce compounds known as calcium aluminum silicate hydrates, often abbreviated as CaSH. These compounds act as the glue that binds the concrete together. Over time, the chemical reactions continue, producing crystalline structures that strengthen the bond between aggregate and mortar, preventing cracks from spreading and reinforcing the entire mass of the structure. Researchers studying Roman concrete samples from ancient harbor sites have found that these mineral reactions continued for hundreds of years after construction. The concrete literally matured with age. Modern concrete, by contrast, reaches its peak strength within weeks and slowly begins to degrade. But the Romans were not finished refining their material. Archaeologists examining ancient concrete blocks began noticing something peculiar inside the mixture. Tiny white fragments appeared throughout the structure, bright specks embedded in the gray stone. For decades, these fragments were considered flaws, evidence of poor mixing. But recent research has revealed that those fragments may have been one of the most important innovations in Roman engineering. The white pieces are known as limeclasts. They form when quicklime, calcium oxide created by heating limestone, is added directly to the concrete mixture instead of being pre-mixed with water. This method, known as hot mixing, produces intense heat as the lime reacts with water, raising the temperature of the mixture to more than 170 degrees Fahrenheit. That heat triggers chemical reactions that cannot occur in cooler mixtures. Some pieces of quicklime remain partially intact during the process, creating the small white clasts seen in ancient Roman concrete today. For centuries, historians assumed these were mistakes. Modern scientists now believe they were intentional, because those clasts turned Roman concrete into something extraordinary. They made it self-healing. When cracks form inside the material and water enters, the lime clasts react with the water and dissolve, releasing calcium into the surrounding area. That calcium then recrystallizes as calcium carbonate, essentially forming new rock that fills the crack and seals it. In laboratory experiments designed to replicate the Roman formula, researchers intentionally cracked samples of this hot mixed concrete and allowed water to flow through the fractures. Within 2 weeks, the cracks had sealed themselves. Water could no longer pass through the material. Concrete made without the quicklime clasts never healed and remained permanently damaged. 2,000 years ago, Roman engineers had accidentally discovered something modern material science only recently began to understand: a building material that repairs itself. And they used it everywhere. Aqueducts carrying fresh water across valleys, reservoirs supplying cities, bridges, bathhouses, fortifications, amphitheaters, and massive urban infrastructure that allowed Rome to expand across 3 continents. The empire did not simply conquer territory. It built systems. Concrete roads, water systems, harbors, and cities appeared wherever Roman influence reached. The same mixture of lime and volcanic ash was shipped across the Mediterranean, sometimes transported hundreds of miles to ensure the same durable material could be used in distant provinces. Archaeologists have even discovered Roman concrete structures in North Africa and the Middle East that still stand after nearly 2,000 years of weathering. Few modern materials can claim the same. Which raises a strange question. If this ancient clay could build structures that last millennia, why does the modern world rely on a material that often fails within decades? The answer begins in England during the early 19th century, when a different kind of cement changed the entire construction industry. And in doing so, quietly pushed one of the most durable materials in human history into obscurity. The disappearance of Roman concrete did not happen because the material failed. It happened because the civilization that understood it collapsed. As the Western Roman Empire declined during the 5th century, the knowledge required to produce the volcanic ash mixtures slowly vanished with it. Trade routes that once transported pozzolana across the Mediterranean collapsed. Skilled engineers disappeared. Written technical knowledge was scattered or lost. For centuries, Europe continued building with stone, brick, and lime mortars, but the precise chemistry that gave Roman concrete its extraordinary durability faded into obscurity. Then, more than 1,000 years later, a new industrial world rediscovered concrete. In 1824, an English bricklayer named Joseph Aspdin patented a material he called Portland cement, named after a building stone from the Isle of Portland because the hardened cement resembled its color and strength. The formula was simple. Limestone and clay were heated in massive kilns until they fused into a substance known as clinker. The clinker was then ground into a fine powder that hardened rapidly when mixed with water. Portland cement had one enormous advantage. It was predictable. Factories could produce it in standardized batches. Engineers could calculate its strength. Construction companies could ship it anywhere and pour it quickly into molds reinforced with steel bars. Modern concrete was born. By the early 20th century, the material had become the backbone of modern infrastructure. Skyscrapers rose from steel and concrete frames. Massive dams controlled rivers. Bridges spanned valleys that once seemed impossible to cross. Today, concrete is the most widely used building material on Earth. Humanity produces more than 4 billion tons of it every year. And yet, the material has a weakness. Over time, it cracks. Water enters those cracks and reaches the steel reinforcement inside. The steel rusts, expanding as it corrodes, which forces the surrounding concrete apart. Pieces break away. Structural integrity slowly weakens. Bridges built in the 1960s require constant maintenance today. Highways poured only decades ago already need repair. Coastal structures deteriorate rapidly when exposed to saltwater. In many cases, modern reinforced concrete structures are designed with a lifespan of roughly 50 to 100 years. The material that built the modern world was never intended to last millennia. But durability is not the only issue. The process used to manufacture Portland cement requires enormous amounts of energy. Kilns must reach temperatures of roughly 2,600 degrees Fahrenheit to transform limestone into clinker. That heat is typically produced by burning fossil fuels. The chemical reaction itself also releases carbon dioxide. As a result, cement production accounts for nearly 8% of all global carbon dioxide emissions. One building material contributes almost a tenth of humanity's climate impact, and the irony becomes impossible to ignore. 2,000 years ago, Roman engineers built infrastructure that could survive millennia using a material that required far less heat to produce. Modern construction relies on a system that must be rebuilt again and again. Moreover, scientists assumed Roman concrete simply benefited from thicker walls and slower construction methods. Then researchers began studying ancient samples more closely. In 2010, a team led by geologist Marie Jackson from the University of Utah began analyzing fragments of Roman harbor concrete that had been submerged in seawater for nearly 2,000 years. What they discovered shocked the engineering world. Inside the concrete, they found crystals of aluminous tobermorite and philipsite, minerals rarely found in modern construction materials. These crystals had grown inside the concrete over centuries as seawater reacted with the volcanic ash and lime mixture. Instead of weakening the material, the ocean had transformed it. The crystal strengthened the bond between particles, reinforcing the structure and preventing fractures from spreading. Further research confirmed something even more remarkable. The volcanic ash used by the Romans triggered chemical reactions that continued long after the concrete hardened. These reactions produced stable compounds that filled pores and strengthened the internal structure of the material over time. Modern Portland cement behaves very differently. Once it cures, the chemical reactions slow dramatically. The material reaches its peak strength within weeks and then gradually begins to deteriorate as environmental stress accumulates. Roman concrete followed the opposite trajectory. It grew stronger for decades. Modern construction had abandoned a technology 2,000 years ahead of its time. Once scientists realized this, attention turned toward the possibility of rebuilding modern infrastructure using Roman principles. The potential benefits are enormous. Roman-style concrete requires lower kiln temperatures, often around 1,300 degrees Fahrenheit, when alternative materials such as calcined clay are used. That temperature is roughly half the heat required for Portland cement production. Lower heat means dramatically lower energy consumption. Researchers estimate that Roman-inspired concrete mixtures could reduce the carbon footprint of construction materials by as much as 70%. The ingredients are also widely available. Volcanic ash exists in large quantities across the planet, particularly near active volcanic regions. Even where volcanic ash is not available, scientists have discovered that certain clays rich in the mineral kaolinite can be heated to create similar chemical reactions. Civil engineer Warda Ashraf at the University of Texas at Arlington has already developed experimental concrete mixtures based on this principle. Her team created cylinders, cubes, and discs using Roman-style proportions of lime, ash substitutes, and aggregates. The samples were placed in cages and submerged in shallow water in the Gulf of Mexico. After 1 year underwater, the material had grown significantly stronger. The team celebrated the results. The ancient engineers who built the Roman Empire would likely have approved. Across the construction industry, other companies have begun exploring similar ideas. Some researchers are developing additives based on Roman lime-class chemistry designed to seal cracks in modern concrete automatically. Others are experimenting with pumice, volcanic rock fragments, and recycled materials to replicate the chemical properties of ancient mixtures. Even large construction firms have begun testing these approaches. Thomas Concrete Group, an international supplier of building materials, has conducted extensive research on finely ground pumice as a partial replacement for cement. Pumice behaves similarly to coal fly ash, a common additive in modern concrete, but with the advantage of lower carbon emissions and natural abundance. The goal is simple: create concrete that lasts longer, produces less carbon dioxide, and requires fewer repairs over time. The idea sounds revolutionary, but in truth, it is ancient. The Romans solved many of these problems more than 2,000 years ago. Their buildings were designed for permanence. Walls were thicker. Structures were meant to endure earthquakes, storms, and centuries of weathering. Domes like the Pantheon were engineered with precise material gradients that distributed weight efficiently and allowed the structure to flex slightly during seismic activity. That philosophy of permanence shaped an entire civilization, and concrete made that expansion possible. And yet modern construction rarely aims for such longevity. Buildings are designed with economic cycles in mind rather than centuries of use. Infrastructure must balance cost, speed, and short-term durability. A bridge that lasts 80 years is considered successful. A building that stands for a century is impressive. Roman engineers would likely have considered those numbers disappointing, because the Pantheon has already lasted nearly 20 centuries, and it shows little sign of failing, which raises one final question. If ancient builders discovered a material that could survive 2,000 years, why did humanity abandon it for something that often fails within a fraction of that time? The answer may not lie in technology. It may lie in priorities. Industrial systems value speed, efficiency, and predictable manufacturing. Portland cement fits those systems perfectly. It can be produced anywhere, shipped anywhere, and poured quickly with standardized results. The only question left is whether modern civilization is ready to learn from the past. Because sometimes the most advanced technology is not something new. It is something we forgot. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to Heritage Harvest and turn on the bell. Every like, every share, and every conversation keeps these lost technologies alive. See you in the next one.